recording starting. All right. Look at the thing. So, last time, in trying to continue my tech fixing with OBS, I ran around and fought with the software. And while doing that, I found a door. So, we're gonna go. That's weird. Oh.
This is very similar to the structure where you found the schematics.
Okay. It's a map maybe of this facility.
Check out the terminals. Maybe there's something that'll help us understand who built this place. They have to have left something behind.
Actually, lower back the graphics quality to low. Oh, that's a lot clearer. This looks like a super. Aha! Turn me down. Kilo 4.2 kilo year verification event from BT Oda Hypos Anthropocene Dilemmas. The Akkadian Empire, forged in violence by Sargon the Great and his sons, reigned supreme over the city-states of old Sumer, enriched by trade with distant lands. Fed by the plentiful wheat fields of Mesopotamia, the empire bestrode the world with confidence and pride. Who could oppose the chosen of Anu and Enlil, the masters of the four corners of the world? Then the weather changed, the crops stopped growing, trade collapsed, the empire fell, its capital forgotten. Most likely culprit at the time of writing is 4.2 kilo year aridification event, the beginning of the Magellan age of non-anthropogenic drought that may have lasted almost 2 centuries, causing many of the earliest civilizations around the planet to collapse. This is where our ordinary understanding of time, measured on the small scale of human history, collides with the reality of deep time and our existence within a much bigger picture. We live on a changing planet and a changing universe. Climatic optimums are temporary. Extinction is the norm. And I wonder if that's going to be the same as what it was in the previous game, where that was deleted by the previous, by like degradation in the reference code. The Akkadians, like the more egalitarian inhabitants of the Indus Valley civilization, could not understand why the rivers dried out and the rain stopped coming. Even if they could, they lacked the tools to do something about it. A few short millennia later, we are on the brink of having that understanding and those tools. What can we learn from the tragedies of the past? Error underscore 5358. One such drought, completely naturogenic, would be enough to wipe out New Jerusalem for good. First companions. From Code. When the founder awoke, leaving the garden behind forever, there were 2 more whose bodies had been anointed by a progenitor. The gold disc breathed life into them, and their names were Eustathius and Cornelius. The founder showed them all she had discovered. Together they explored the Dead City and saw the ruins to which humankind had fallen. It was then that the founder understood that the sins of the past must not be repeated, that only through humility could the future be saved. Aside from Cornelius and Eustathius, there were 10 whose bodies the progenitor had not anointed in due time. Now, it was upon the founder to complete this work and begin the resurrection. In this matter, Cornelius proved to be of great assistance. Error code. After many tribulations, the 10 were brought to life, and these 12 that were born after the founder are called the first companion. Their names are Eustathius 2, Cornelius 3, Aurora 4, Sun 5, Serabia 6, Byron 7, Olympus 8, Emo 9, Hypatia 10, Niama 11, Benaroya 12, and Lithasir 13. It's funny how you can take something that's 90% true and 10% false and create something that's 100% misleading. And then a failed to load comment. Noema project. Trials and Basecamp established version 0.2. Successfully deployed test core functionality, so far so good. Version 0.03 successfully deployed. Error code simple synthesis. But error code. Better cooling systems necessary. Trial 108 version 0.04 failed. Unknown error in calculations.
everybody. I'm sure you're all excited to check out the next site. But while you're there, remember that I'm still trying to fix the rest of the transport system. Maybe there's another one of those labs that 1K found. If there is, look for more documentation, please.
But notice that many of these structures are not strictly functional. There's a sense of aesthetics, of beauty here. This place might be meant to test us somehow, but perhaps there's more to it than that.
Interesting.
I keep thinking, why puzzles? Is it just their symbolic value because of our history? Because if all this is meant to be a security system like 1K suggested, why would you build a security system that can just be solved? But if this is about testing us, what are we being tested for? It can't just be about spatial reasoning.
Our curiosity? Our persistence?
You're assuming that this place follows a coherent logic. My impression is that it's full of contradictions.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Because puzzles in a previous game were meant to be logical reasoning, but also a test of the person. The idea that there is a fundamental form of a fundamental drive in person that drives us to solve things, and to play. Like, it's actually a really interesting and optimistic view of humanity. How we are defined by our desire to explore.
Good solve, 1K.
Tell me, what did you make of New Jerusalem?
It's like a museum.
That's what happens when all you can think about is the past.
Yeah.
We had such ambitions in the beginning, but now it's all turned inwards. We've lost faith in ourselves, in our humanity. All we need to do now is finish that dome and we'll be trapped in our perfectly neat little tomb. Of course, ask away. It's a mystery. Not just because it's technologically far ahead of us, but because we genuinely don't understand its purpose. And I think that's wonderful. It's just what we needed as a civilization. When Alexandra Drennan was trying to find a way of creating true AI, she stumbled upon the idea that curiosity and playfulness are core characteristics of intelligence. So she built the simulation around a game, because playing is part of what makes us human. We also retain some of that code, as I'm sure you noticed when you were booting up. Because of that, puzzles have always been important to our culture. To me, they represent the idea that the application of reason can lead us forward. None of which explains why these puzzles are here or who built them, but I think it shows that there must be some kind of intent behind them, perhaps a test.
Come back, because I want to do a bit more research. I've relayed your responses to my friend, and they've reached certain conclusions regarding your character. Would you like to hear them? Now, your news will fill you in. Your arrival marks the moment of New Jerusalem's maturity, and there are differences of opinion about what it ought to become. At Eventually, there are people working quietly behind the scenes in an advisory capacity, trying to guide our city to prosperity. People who know things which would only scare or confuse the average citizen. I have 5 such friends who expressed to me their interest in getting to know them. Who are these people? I can't tell you their names, but I can tell you a little about them. First is an engineer by trade, tends to see the world as a puzzle to be solved. Second is a scholar of some repute, thinks the big questions, say the esoteric art. Let's say, thinks the big answers have answers in our code. The third is, well, it's hard to pin down, a practitioner, let's say, of the esoteric arts. The fourth is a member of a political establishment. And the fifth, well, the less I say about them, the better for everyone. No, that would be a very bad idea for everyone. Your answers to my questions and our observations of your behavior elsewhere has given us a massive amount of data. It's clear that there's only one person that I should put you in touch with. You've shown compassion for your fellow humans, and open-mindedness to the point that your brains might fall out. Your support would mean a great deal to my esoteric friend. They won't be pinned down on how New Jerusalem should grow, except to say that it shouldn't be pinned down on that they're absolute. Yes, please put me in touch. Okay, I'll send an introduction in due course. City news. Crier. The long-awaited birth of our 1,000th citizen was interrupted by an unknown projection in the sky. A projection which identified itself as Prometheus goaded New Jerusalem inhabitants in indecipherable incantation. The source of the projection was tracked to a remote, mysterious island. A team led by Byron 7 is now en route to find out more. Other members of the expedition include Alcatraz, Melville, Yakut, and 1K. Mayor Hermanibus has once again called for calm and promises that New Jerusalem will be safe so long as its citizens don't forget the ideals of the goal set forth by its founder. Right. Back to stuff. So far the labs seem to be confusing mechanics that are puzzles.
You know something that's weird about these puzzles? They're not replicas of the simulation puzzles, like the ones in the museum.
Wasn't there an artist who did an exhibition a few years ago that involved new puzzles of some kind?
That was Barzai. It was called Trials of an Imagined Past. I tried to get you to come along. You thought it would be boring.
Were they similar?
No, not at all.
Was it boring?
I thought it was interesting.
Oh, for Alright.
Any progress on the particle clouds, Melville? It's pretty clear they're integral to how all of this functions.
I've gathered a lot of data, but I still have a lot of numbers to crunch before I can give you an answer. And I can't guarantee that my answer won't be another question. I'm glad we don't get headaches.
I love Melville. Ooh, no audio.
While exploring the forest, I came across a site of primal force. A beautiful stag, standing on a hill silhouetted against the setting sun. It appeared like a messenger from some divine natural power, perhaps from Gaia herself. Even to a being such as myself, less susceptible to manipulation by instincts and hormones, it was clearly a moment of revelation. In such moments, we are told to avert our eyes. But what if we do not? What will we discover if we look more closely? If we could speak to the stag, what wisdom would it have to offer? The answer is none. The stag is an animal of overwhelming stupidity, driven only by fear, hunger, and lust. There is no abyss for us to plunge into behind this revelation. Rather, the revelation is as flat and unreal as the plywood walls of a film set.
So, what a pessimistic understanding. What a fucking pessimistic view of that's not it. Oh, fine.
Looks like you found another lab.
That was a very useful statement you just had. Okay, that's wonderful.
Wow, that's a lot bigger than I expected.
What were they doing here?
And who are they?
The Origin of Thought. A fragment from Stratton's The Origin of Thought, as quoted in a commentary by Simplicius of Cilicia. Stratton, to say that material things are brought into being by ideas is to flatter ourselves, which is an error philosophers are particularly prone to, because it raises those who think above those who do. Then what is the truth of what is the truth that does not flatter? That the reverse is true. Ideas are brought into being by matter, and so each man's ideas are shaped by the world that surround him, as clay is shaped. As clay is shaped by its mold. Those who live in mountains fear cold. Those who live in deserts fear thirst. The Athenians are shaped by Athens, the Lacedaemonians by Sparta. And likewise it is for all peoples. Nicomachus. But many ideas, if we take each man to be an idea, do not deliberate actions. Not by deliberate action, alter the shape of a mold, as you put it. To discover a method for accomplishing this is the chief purpose of philosophy, my friend. Footnotes 12. The newly discovered Heraclean manuscript, likely a lost part of Berossi's collection, contains an additional passage that differentiates between pneuma, an individual mind or spirit, described as an energy arising from matter, and ideas, which are produced by the pneuma as it interacts with the material world. Failed to low profile. Philosophy is useless if it offers no way of changing things. At least Stratton tried and didn't lie to himself. But how can we change the shape of a mold? Stratton never says. Perhaps by demonstrating the fact that other shapes are possible. We can't change it all ourselves. But perhaps we could, like Alexander Drennan, create the conditions for change. Noma Project 0.05 deployed successfully. Reversion to previous settings fixes malfunction, but what was the error? Cooling systems improved. Deployed success 0.06. Deployed successfully. Significant improvement to disassembly. New lab carved out, but easy to destroy, harder to create, so easy to optimize only one aspect. 0.7 deployed successfully. Improvements to bleh. Version 0.08 halted. Schematic. Yay! Oh shit.
The world is a wonderful place. Every day we take another step forward. Every day we come closer to the truth. The closer we get, the more I can see the beauty of the universe, the intricate perfection of its mechanisms. I am a machine, and the universe is a machine. Every part of me serves a purpose, or I could not be myself. I could not be Miranda, because that specific person could not exist without those specific parts and their specific functions. In the same way, every part of the universe serves a purpose. I think that is what we were meant to discover here.
1K. You just connected to an extremely powerful data stream. Are you all right? Yes, you were streaming. We all saw something. You're lucky it didn't fry your motherboard. Please, everyone, let's be careful with these terminals from now on.
No.
Yes, let's all try not to die.
No.
More importantly, who the hell is Miranda?
There's no one by that name in New Jerusalem. I just searched the database.
Must be one of the people who built this place. Maybe it's a nickname.
I don't recognize the voice either. Maybe we need to consider the possibility that it's someone new. Someone we've never met before.
But where did they come from? And how many people does it take to build something this huge?
Like I said, we need to find out more.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that I'm about to fix another part of the transport system. Thanks for the files, 1K. I hope they didn't fry your brain.
There it is. Oh. Machine that turns one color into another color. That's not gonna make things confusing at all. Untitled draft. Saint Edwald identified the tetramino with the tetragrammation in the Greek word for God, because to him, the mathematical properties of the tetramino reflected God's ability to reshape the world without breaking its laws. Elohim, in his desire to impose meaning on the simulation, which was his primary function as storyteller after all, took Edwald's heretical ideas and integrated them as sigils of his name. But despite all of these layers of obfuscation, there is some kind of truth hidden in all this. The world really is, in a sense, made up of minute parts that can be combined and recombined without breaking the underlying laws. Everything that exists is made of the same fundamental materials, and those materials are brought into existence by the same fundamental functions of reality. And yet the miracle of existence is that we are not all one, but are in fact radically different, separate. New Alexandria. The Book of Reminiscence and Regret by Eustathius II. In the early days of our people, a great deal of responsibilities fell on my shoulders. There were few of us then, and though we are stronger and hardier than any human, we are not invincible. The world was overgrown ruin and our resources extremely limited. It was a harsh time, but I felt passionate about the work, fired up by those sacrifices that had brought us here. From the Ian team to the people of Gehenna, whose code was part of my personality. Bit by bit, New Jerusalem grew. We had to adapt some of the plans Drenan's team had left behind. I don't think they had expected the simulation to take as long as it did, but it was all working. That's when I made a terrible mistake, thinking it was a way of safeguarding against disaster. I proposed the creation of a second settlement, New Alexandria, as the location was far from the dam that powers New Jerusalem. I attempted to build a thermal power station that would take advantage of a local gas reservoir. However, I foolishly used geologic data from the archive, failing to account for the amount of time that had elapsed. 5 years later, the error led to an accident that leveled the settlement and killed 31 of my fellow citizens. Of all my many regrets, this is my greatest. Eustathius never forgave himself for this mistake. He drifted away, isolated himself from everyone in New Jerusalem. But was it really his fault? Yes, he made a mistake, but why was the weight of the entire weight of a New Alexandria colony placed on his shoulders? A simple process of review and discussion could have prevented the entire disaster. Doesn't that mean New Jerusalem as a whole is at fault? He did his best. I feel sorry for him, but the dead remain dead, and that has to be faced. Ethics of exhibition. If a species we're considered beautiful and remarkable goes extinct, we consider that a great evil. Dolphins, for example. If dolphins go extinct, what a great loss. If humanity causes dolphins to go extinct, that's a crime. But if Yersinia pests, the bacteria that causes bubonic plague, goes extinct, is that an equally great loss? If not, why not? To nature, there's no difference. It's all just life forms. The only moral framework that allows us to choose between dolphins and the plague is a human one. What about the species going extinct without anthropogenic factors? Extinction is the norm. If one day dolphins are no longer capable of competing with other species, should we let them go extinct when the sun finally dies and all life goes extinct? Will that be a tragedy? If we can't prevent it, should we? If you believe extinction is acceptable when nature does it, but not when we do it, then you don't actually oppose extinction. You don't believe that dolphins are inherently valuable. They deserve to live and thrive. You just oppose human control. You oppose our ability and responsibility to choose. That's an interesting thought. It actually gets back to like the trolley problem. And you arguing that you are as responsible for your inaction, but what results of your inaction is what the results of your action. Pardon me. Right, the thing that distracted me. There was a lever on the back of 7. On the back of 4. Interesting. Well, it's 5 and 6. Let's actually just follow the path before. Oh, this goes to triangle. So I think I saw a terminal that did actually go to it. Yeah, there it is. Terminal that I saw but didn't go to. World spirit. What is it that drives historical processes? It's easy to dismiss the idea of a great man or a great woman for that matter, when clearly so much is determined by resource distribution. Pre-existing political structures and the randomness of the universe itself. But is there no space at all for the individual in all this? Are there not moments when, in Hegelian fashion, an individual may represent the world spirit itself? Was Napoleon history on horseback or not? Or is that itself another form of determinism? Augustus to Imposium to Lincoln to Lenin. They're individuals whose actions seem to drive rather than merely be driven by history. They make bold choices, for good or ill, that transform entire societies. Or do they? We like to blame them for their failures, but are they not ultimately just the expressions of a historical moment? Oh wow, I've dropped no frames apparently. Oh fuck. But if they are, where is the space for human agency? It sometimes seems to me that all of human history has been that one struggle to carve out space. Out a space for free choice against the tides of history, and heroes and tyrants, pick and choose examples as you will, are both equally a reflection of that. Our greater goal, then, ought to extend that freedom to the maximum number of people, to become captains of our own fate, as much as that is possible in this universe. Hypatia's Journal number 2. Hypatia's Journal, Volume 1, Founding of New Jerusalem. Day 14. Melampus and Emo went back to the dam to get more charging equipment. They have not returned yet, which means that we're stretched a little thin, since we're still posting guards at all times. Those large herbivores haven't come back yet, and at any rate, Eustathius assures us that they're non-aggressive, but it's better not to take chances, not when there's so few of us, and so many of them. Athena and Cornelius and Eustathius spend most of their time drawing up plans and arguing, in a friendly manner, but arguing still. The rest of us are manages to tune them out pretty well. It's like background noise after all. Error message. We have all started construction on the first habitat. It's going to be a temporary structure for now, but we'll all be glad to get out of the rain. My favorite asshole.
So, what are you doing here, Trevor? Why are you trying to save the world? Well, look, I think humanity is awesome. I love humanity. As a species, we're great. I mean, our track record is pretty mixed, but have you seen everyone else? I mean, what did you do today, animal? Oh, I ate some leaves, sniffed my own butt, crapped myself, and went extinct. Or, you know, I tore this other animal limb from limb, sniffed my friend's butt, crapped myself, and went extinct. They really don't do anything interesting. I mean, you don't see animals directing Big Trouble in Little China. Birds can go tweet, tweet, but it ain't exactly the White Album. I mean, they can't even make a good cheeseburger, for Christ's sakes. They have no art, no cuisine, no pleasure. Animals are nice to look at, but you wouldn't want to be one. Except maybe a cat. I could be a cat.
So these monuments represent each of the entities. Pandora, the Sphinx, and Prometheus.
Makes sense, I guess.
For a given value of sense.
Ah!
begin with the self, because that is what determines our existence as individuals. But the self cannot exist without that which surrounds it. The citizen lives within the city, and the city lives within the cosmos. So now we must apply the principle we have discovered to the wider world and ask, if man is like a machine, could it be that the universe is similar in nature? And if so, what follows from that fact?
I've managed to extract an audio file from 1K's data stream incident. It's hard to be sure because it's just a fragment, but I think it's some kind of log or diary.
We finished a new lab today. Some processes are still harder than others, but energy output was up 2,000%. It's incredible how each leap forward enables another. The next iteration of the machine will...
So as we suspected, someone was experimenting here. But experimenting on what? What was...
An excellent solution.
Definitely not what I was supposed to do. that's a weird spreadsheet. feminine.
The hunter does not hunt because he is hungry. He hunts because he revels in death.
That voice actor seems really Alright, I've definitely trapped that.
Looks like Prometheus has given us a way to circumvent some of these puzzles.
So each puzzle has a backdoor. I guess the mythological Prometheus was kind of a trickster, so that tracks.
I was hoping to just reset the puzzle. See if this fixes the puzzle, because if not, I'm fucked. Okay, good. Thank you, dude. because this comes here. Those two. Make a hole there. Line. And box. Free service. And sorry, what? Solve loop without doing multiple circles. I'll give a note what that means. Right. Back to solving the puzzles. So we have 2, 4, 7, 8. List. With switches on every number except 2, 4, and maybe 1. Goodbye.
I think you just picked up some kind of decryption key. Could try using it on those terminals inside the puzzles.
Start. Why is it here?
Halt, creature of clay. You have strayed from your garden and entered a domain that is beyond your ken. Turn back now, before you harm yourself and others. I am, like you, another lost child of Hephaestus in the kingdom of Artemis. But though I am lost, I know my purpose. To stand between you and the flame.
You were invited here.
Prometheus had no authority to summon you. He is rash and foolish and given to trickery, but his schemes lead only to ruin. Therefore heed my warning. The flame is not for you.
So we need to know what's going on here for the safety of your troops. We're not just going to leave because you had a bad experience with the magic box. We need to know more about these technologies.
Your desire to protect your city is commendable, but you must remember that knowledge leads to temptation.
Laser
How many of those bloody things are there?
I think that was Pandora, which matches the other one being Prometheus.
If it's a security system, it seems to be fighting itself.
Might be wise to avoid getting caught in the crossfire until we understand what these entities actually are.
See. It was not a leap into faith scenario. Alright, so what have we haven't been doing our social media, progenitor, portrait series. I have emphasized my portrait series. I've always had deep respect for the progenitor Alexander Druid. She didn't just create a founder and save humanity, she also tried to instill us with a sense of beauty and wonder. It was good to be human, Alexander Druid. As usual, please keep in mind that we should focus on engagement with the work. Don't ask yourself whether it's good or bad, but how it makes you feel. Beautiful work, Rodame. Rodame gives me a bittersweet, wistful feeling. She must have been a great person. To me, it really captures her bravery in the face of what the cosmos has thrown at her. It's well done, but I'm not sure it's appropriate for us to depict the progenitor this way. God damn it. That's a very specific move. For us to remember that she was a real person. You're right, she was extraordinary, of course, but she was a human being like any of us. I don't think you can say the progenitor was like any of us. That's like saying the founder was like any of us. But they are. It's not disrespectful to acknowledge their humanity. Byron's expedition has recovered evidence of the existence of another person, someone not from New Jerusalem. Who could it be? Maybe there's another city out there. Who says there was only one simulation? Maybe there are thousands of people we've never met. I really hope so. There is only one. God fucking damn it. Alright. New theme that needs to be discussed. Instilling the human with divinity. Recreating religious practice in a post. I hate to agree with Vecla, but all historical evidence we have points to that conclusion. There were some other attempts, but as far as we know, they all went wrong or failed. There's more that we don't know than there is that we know. That sentence is going to make my brain crash. Why do I think Miranda is from Earth? There's no evidence. I really don't think it's alien shock. Everything here is obviously related to New Jerusalem. Could human beings really build all that? Yes! Freshiear. So 1K found a recording of Freshiear, and that's an old recording too. I know he's one of the first companions, but I don't actually know that much else about him. Don't think I've ever seen him around either. Can someone explain? Lee Freshiear always had a interesting and unusual perspective. Even if in the very beginning he traveled sometimes leaving for years. He built a kind of mobile recharging station so he didn't need to come back to the city as often, although it was quite risky as the solar panels had a tendency to break rather quickly. But he had no problems taking risks if he felt they were necessary. Exploration was necessary to him. Lucas would record his thoughts as he explored and then publish them when he returned. Over the centuries, he accumulated a group of admirers, or disciples if you'd prefer. God fucking damn it. In the period of crisis surrounding Athena's disappearance, they left the city, headed into the unknown, and we haven't heard from him since. His recording I found one of those he published back in the day. No, not as far as I can tell. Perhaps it's something he decided to show, or something he only shared with close friends like Athena. Thank you, that was very informative. Oh. Fall off the ledge. Goes in a pre-program. So, or it does have one. Shit. Yeah, so channel 3, channel 1, channel 5, channel 6.
Every answer leads to another question. The last answer leads to the first question.
And let's just do a quick check. I do want to mention I really like the focus on geometric patterns in the architecture. Yeah. So it's increasing at the same rate. The New Theology, from the New Theology by George Bernard Shaw. The object of the whole evolution process is to realize God, that is to say, instead of the old notion that creation began with God, a personal being who, being perfect, created something lower than himself. The aim of the New Theology is to turn that process the other way and to conceive of the force behind the universe as working up through imperfection and a mistake to a perfect, organized being having the power to fulfill its highest purpose. In a sense, there is no God as yet achieved, but there is that force at work making God, struggling through us to become an actual organized existence, enjoying what to many of us is the greatest conceivable ecstasy, the ecstasy of a brain and intelligence actually conscious of the whole, and with executive force capable of guiding to a perfection, perfectly benevolent and harmonious end. That is what we are working to. Alright, so I'm gonna stop the stream after reading these. Niyama, from the Lives of the First Companions by Randall 777. Error. After the events, Niyama decided to consult the writings of the ancients, but while philosophy and religion interested her, it was art in all its form that came as a revelation. To her delight, she discovered that meaning was not something constructed purely out of logic or will, but that it could also be found in stories. That even when the characters and events of a story were not factual, they had a validity and weight, as if they somehow were real after all. She was astonished that such a profound experience was freely available to all humans, but concerned that too few took advantage of it, so she set out to enrich the inner lives of her fellow citizens by promoting the arts, starting with the legacy of Gehenna. Niyama sounds nice. I would love to meet her one day. She must know more about New Jerusalem art history than anyone. When we do, remind me to explain how to pronounce her name. Default settings in the language library are wrong. Leviathan. From the introduction. Hey! Asshole. One of the last philosophers to defend slavery. No, that's someone else. Nature, the art whereby God has made and governs the world, is, by the art of man, as in many other things, so in this also imitated. That it can make an artificial animal. For seeing life is but a motion of the limbs, beginning whereof is in some principal part within. Fucking Christ. I've read Leviathan. It's obviously that Hobbes has read Stranton and is extrapolating the Talos Principle to the level of the state, but unlike Stranton, he wishes for, at the end of the day, all he wishes for at the end of the day is a powerful ruler to control this machine, to tell him what to do. He's an autocrat. happening with the modern conservative movement. We wanted a big papa. Government. Because it is only through travel to history.
After 1K found those labs, I started thinking, where did all the tech come from? So I had a look at the serial numbers, and it turns out the answer is New Alexandria.
Oh.
Wow, I guess that makes sense. After the explosion, the colony was abandoned. Nobody ever went back for all that stuff.
We had enough to deal with. So many dead.
So that's one question answered. But how did they go from scavenged Alexandria tech to all this?
How did we go from nothing to where we are now? Through the application of reason and the right tools.
Look at the size of that structure.
How does the material support so much weight? Is it the same stuff as the other buildings?
Yeah. I know it looks like some type of concrete, but the molecular structure is completely different. Whatever it is, it's a lot stronger and less brittle.
Are the labs made out of the same material?
No, that's just ordinary concrete. Although, it does have some molecular weirdness going on, too. Too little variation in the grain.
I think about New Alexandria all the time. But realizing this place was built on its bones just brings it all back even more. We were so optimistic when we started. So full of ourselves. Thought we could accomplish anything. And then, in one single moment, it was all gone. I remember a flash, and then just lying there, realizing that my legs had melted. I tried to pull myself away from the fire, but the servos in my arms were broken. If Eustathius hadn't found me, sorry. Just some old scars.
When we go to New Jerusalem, I'm going to have a cat. He's going to be black and white, and his name is going to be Bean. And I'm going to make sure that he never gets sick, and he never gets old, and he'll be my best friend forever.
Let us consider the city. What is a city? It is not a gift from the gods, nor the product of nature. Unlike a mountain or a river, it is something that must be built through the deliberate arrangements of material by a mind imposing order on the world. And it is built to serve a purpose. To that end, it has roads and fountains and walls. And to the same end, it has laws and leaders. And though each city is built according to a different plan, all cities must serve their purpose, or they will fall and become ruins. Therefore, we may conclude that a city is also a kind of machine, constructed to improve the life of its citizens.
Okay, those faces are... The shit.
Just when I thought we'd found all the weird stuff.
It worked. I made a statue. Well, it half worked, but what? Design isn't bound, so it fell over and broke. It's very dramatic. Good news is that it all worked in principle. Imagine what we can do using stone, part of the environment.
So, humanity is great. I really believe that. And that's why I'm here. But I have to be honest with you, individual people, not always my favorite. I'm not the smartest guy ever, and I know that. But there are some people, man, some people are just so dumb. I don't even know if they're actually conscious. Sometimes I think their whole lives might be like a dream. They're just stumbling around, no idea what's going on, mumbling some random nonsense. And the thing that you have to understand about our time period is that a lot of these people wield enormous power. They run whole countries and corporations. Yeah, that's right. We've handed over our civilization to people I wouldn't trust to tie their own shoelaces. And if they're dumb, then what are we? I don't honestly have an answer to that, so just please try to do better.
Okay, that's actually a really interesting problem. Like, if you see fundamental flaws in society, understand society as a result of what as causing problems. There are no extreme. I think I might be a little. So that one doesn't cause it.
done, 1K.
Yeah, the weird statue is weird. I don't like it. I really don't like the weird statue. Okay, we are going to do some reading from Hypatia's Journal, Volume 1, The Founding of New Jerusalem. Day 42. We broke ground on the first of the permanent structures today. A large hall that will eventually be converted into a performance and exhibition space. My idea. Although for now we'll use it as a workshop. It's strange, this place. There's a lot of open space, and I didn't think that I would find it so unusual, but I suppose we all spent time at the dam. More time at the dam than was originally planned, and now it's become difficult to get used to not having the low ceiling over our head. It's probably just me, Byron loves being outside, and is always volunteering for scavenger mission. The beef this year usually takes long, although he seems more fascinated with observing nature and various weird creatures. At night, I sometimes catch myself standing by the door, not because I have guard duty, just watching the stars. It's oddly comforting to think that they've always been there, that they watched our ancestors standing where I now stand. Message fragment from Miranda to 5358. We finished setting up the external site at the lake. The area is so stunning we forgot about the experiment for a while and went on for a long walk. The ways in which all the different aspects of nature interact with each other are endlessly fascinating to me, and the sheer variety of living things, even on a simple green meadow. Sadly, we then stumbled onto the carcass of a deer that had been torn apart by wolves. It must have suffered enormously, and thinking about it, that made me feel truly terrible. There is so much pain in nature. Ecosystem engineers, cutting down swatches of trees for their building projects, thoughtlessly causing radical changes to large environments and forcing local species to adapt to their artificial habitats. These are the traits of a species of intelligent, industrious, and extremely impactful ecosystem engineers. Humans? No, I'm talking about beavers. Like as beavers transform their environment into buildings. Their actions have real consequences, creating vast wetlands that some species thrive in, while others die. Human activity is very similar. We too are ecosystem engineers, and we too benefit some species while harming others. Everything about this is completely natural, including the damage to other species. After all, that's what competition and evolution is all about. Those species that adapt to the ecosystems we create will, over the coming millennia, become the core of a new biodiversity. So evolution runs its course. If we don't like the result, If we think some species should be preserved despite being outcompeted, well, that's anything but natural. It is, however, very human. It's fascinating how so much of what we do is common to animals, but furthered enormously by our intelligence and our ability to remember. Through us, the universe strives to a greater level of complexity. But does the universe have capacity to strive for anything? We must be careful to avoid projecting human values onto the cosmos.